Great. We did it. We did it. Now the question is going to be when the other person, David, when he comes in, I don't know if he can like take over the broadcast. Maybe he can.
He should be able to. I have an option to share screen. Go away. Go away. How do you get this thing to go away? Oh, yeah, no. Where do you want me to post it?
On the meetup group.
I can do that with one of the 3 browsers that I have open. Okay. This is kind of hard, isn't it? What? Control V? Yeah, Control V is hard.
Basically, you can right close with this type was as you would write most profile code.
Says it's live.
Lots of other dynamic languages.
It's a stupid picture.
But as you add type declarations, these type of declarations actually take a compile time.
Did it work?
As to the intended uses. And this has.
How many viewers do we have?
Text.
I can't get this thing out of the way.
The least important is what people
Maximize the screen size and then unmaximize it. That's what I usually do when they type screen size.
There it is.
Yeah.
Most of them are enforced at different times.
Oh, on the upper left of that thing, by the way.
Share event, edit event. Really?
If you go to the middle,
I don't see it.
middle of this, there's a little thing with a person with a plus on it. Maybe that's how you can find somebody.
Oh yeah, check that out.
Got it.
It is cold.
So good at this.
It's definitely cold.
See, it even tells you how to copy.
It does. Well,
But you can invite directly via email address as well.
I needed. I don't know. Would I let you?
If you have the person's email address, you can invite them.
I have him on this thing. I don't know what his email address is, to be honest.
It was good, actually. The guy that did the presentation was like one of the court developers.
Hey.
So,
It told me Dave Farrell.
What?
All right.
Yeah, I'm fortunate nobody has.
Hey, Gabe, can you hear me?
Oh.
Oh, David is here.
Oh.
I see him.
Well, let me turn
Big
off.
smile on his face.
Okay.
Neat.
I am
I don't
unprepared.
know if you can actually hear me.
I am unprepared for this.
Look at that. Hey, it's
I
working.
want to turn the podcast off.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. I don't know where it is. I have too many windows.
Yeah, well, if you're had it open in Chrome, the sound's coming from.
Well, I have like 2 Chrome.
That's been my favorite feature that they've added to Chrome.
All right, here we are. Okay, I see David.
Yes.
Hey.
There he is. You think this one?
Okay. Yeah,
trying to-
because I'm presenting to everyone.
Trying to figure out how to
Trying to fix the sound.
screen share. Who the
Yeah,
hell?
Gabe, it says I'm presenting to everyone now.
Oh, what was that?
It says I'm presenting to everyone now.
Oh, I did it.
Don't worry, it only took us 30 minutes.
Hey, my face is not giant screen, is it?
Hey, Gabriel, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So when you did to mute yourself, otherwise there'll be a lot of echo.
All right.
Yeah, it sounds better now to me. All right.
Okay. How am I coming through? Is it clear?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Okay. I just can't hear anything from Gabe's side, so I'll take questions at the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be the annoying thing. Gabriel's going to have to unmute himself if anyone has any questions or anything.
Yeah, Gabe, is that okay?
Yeah. We're getting a thumbs up over here from everyone. I think you're coming in pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Um.
Your microphone is.
Huh? Okay.
You're on mute.
No, I'm not.
No.
Not right now. I'm not on mute.
Yeah, that.
I will be soon.
Yeah,
So like,
kind of
David.
stupid.
Okay.
It looks like you're muted, but
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So I can go ahead and get started?
Yeah. Let's get started. Yeah.
Can anyone see my face?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so I guess when I think about Perl tricks, there's a number of things I want to cover. I got a list of notes here. So yeah, I guess first to take a step back a little bit, I was a comp sci major, and I studied a bit of Perl as part of my degree. It was introduced as a text processing language, and I used it to graph a few dictionaries and things like that, and that was about it. And about 7 years ago, I needed to write a program to download some stock market data or something like that. And I looked over at my bookshelf, and I had, I think it was the 5th edition of Learning Perl. And so I broke the book out, and I started thumbing through it again, and it started coming back to me, and one thing led to another, and then I wrote a small program, and then that did that, and then I kind of wrote a whole system around that would study financial markets and send me emails and price alerts and this whole thing, and it kept going and going and going, and in the end I found out that I enjoyed programming in Perl more than I did studying financial markets. So yeah, I just kept on with the programming and kind of ditched the finance stuff. So why start Perl tricks, right? I guess for me, I started Perl tricks in about, I think it was March 2013. And at the time, I thought there was a real opportunity for better quality writing about Perl. There were loads of really old sites on the internet, like TZAG and about.com, and they had these pretty bad Perl examples, like here's how to work with arrays, or here's how to iterate through a hash. And whilst the articles were okay, sometimes the code itself was wrong or out of date, or it all felt very tired. So I thought there was an opportunity to start writing about Perl from a fresher perspective. So initially, I really set out with the goal to just write short articles about Perl and make money through advertising and paid links and things like that. And if you look at the early articles on the site, at least for the first 5 or 6 months, I think, most of the articles are very short, and they're focused on how to do something with Perl. So here's how arrays work in Perl, or something like that. And that was kind of the early part of Perl tricks. And I think it got to about December that year, and I posted, I don't know, maybe 50 articles, something like that. And I started to have a rethink about what I wanted to do with the site and the direction it was going. So over the course of the holidays, so the winter holidays, so December, January, so that's 2013, 2014, I had the site completely redesigned. I actually paid a designer to get the design. So a lot of people say, the site looks nice and it's well designed, but it's really worth investing in a designer to come up with a design that works for you, and it doesn't have to cost that much either. So yeah, I redesigned the site, implemented that, and over the course of 2014, really, I started to kind of hone in on what I wanted Perltrix to be. So I got rid of the Google ads completely. I got rid of Google Analytics, anything that would, track visitors to the site or run any kind of code that wasn't under my control. I got rid of that. I really wanted to focus on quality articles and slightly longer form articles, rather than like just tips and tricks. And I guess, also the site was HTTPS enabled everywhere. So if you want to view it in on a secure channel, you can. So yeah, we kind of moved in a more a definite direction, I'd say. The other thing was I started to try and recruit other people to write on the site as well. I knew that writing longer form articles wasn't as sustainable, so just as a one-man band. So yeah, I started to talk to people, and either people I'd interviewed or I'd met at the New York Pearl Mongers, and eventually I recruited a couple of people to start writing articles too. And that was really 2014. And I think that approach worked. In terms of our visitor count, it went from, I think, 20,000 visits a month at the start of 2014 to 130,000 a month at the end of 2014. So yeah, I think the redesign and the focus on quality really made a difference. I can't hear anything that comes back from the room, so Gabriel, if there's any questions or comments, please come off mute and let me know.
All right, I will. Nothing so far, guys? Any questions? Nope. Steve?
Okay.
Yeah, I have one quick question. Hopefully that's not too echoey, but when you said you started changing how long the articles were, do you have a current a goal for how long the articles are, or is that is it still kind of just free form?
Yeah, it's still pretty free form, but I'd say now they're between sort of maybe 300 and 600 words, something like that. I mean, really our kind of MO is still writing about, here's something cool you can do with Perl. But normally that involves talking about a particular module, I think. So if you're going to talk about a module, you've got to talk about, well, what is a module? What does it do? Show some examples of how to use it, and so on. And I think if you do that in a way that is accessible to people that maybe aren't, super familiar with CPAN or Perl, that tends to lead to kind of longer form articles. And then the other thing is just, man, Perl's just really complicated in some ways and very flexible. So I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe like the open function, right? I mean, open, we all use it to open files. And you think, okay, yeah, that's easy. I can write an article about that. But if you read the manual on open, you can pipe out processes. You can do all sorts of other stuff as well. So once you start writing about something in Perl, it's a bit like a rabbit hole, and you start going a bit further and a bit further. I think I wrote an article that was like 3 ways to include data in your CPAN distribution. And the first thing I got was an email from someone saying, "There's a fourth way, and you didn't write about it."
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
so,
seems like in general the length is really nice, and I wasn't sure if you ever try to trim them down, because it seems like more and more blog entries are trying to stay short just because people's attention span is shorter.
Yeah, I think one thing is I have a pretty. I mean, I'd be interested to see what other people's impressions are, but I think I have a fairly terse writing style anyway, and I try and kind of cut out extra words that don't add that much.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I try and compress as much as possible. I wish I could write a bit more like someone like Buddy Burden. He can write these great essays that just flow, and yeah, I'd like to work towards that, but I don't know, it seems to work out at about 600 words, something like that.
Yeah, seems good. Thanks.
Gabe, any more questions?
I was going to ask a little bit of a question related to the design. Maybe I'll get into that later, but maybe I'll let you go on and see if you discuss it later. But I'd love to hear more about how you came up with the design.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let me tackle that. So I had some kind of the original incarnation of the site. I rolled my own design. I kind of knew what I wanted. I wanted like a main screen and then a sidebar and then a menu, and that was about it. And you know, I knew the site didn't look great, but at the same time I knew it looked okay. And I tried loads of things like tweaking the font, tweaking the spacing, changing colors. I looked at other sites I tried to copy from. The funny thing about media sites is if you look at them, I'd say most of the major sites like Recode is a fairly new one, or Ars Technica as well. The funny thing about those sites is that when you start looking at their design, it doesn't seem that good. It's like very, very busy. It's often fixed width. So I guess I didn't want to copy those styles, and I didn't think I'd have enough content to really have a very busy website either. I'm sure those designs work really well from a business point of view for them, but I wanted something cleaner, something that was kind of like a blog, but looked better than a normal blog. So after a lot of cajoling from Jeffrey Thalhammer, I went on 99 Designs, and I put a lot of effort into kind of describing what I wanted.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was pretty specific in terms of, I wanted some kind of carousel where I could promote articles, a list of articles beneath that, and so on and so on. And I got a lot of candidate designs, and the one I chose I thought looked the best, and I haven't looked back.
Awesome. Yeah, good choice.
Thanks. All right, so that's a little bit about Perltric's history. I've actually got a question for the audience. In terms of articles and content, what would you like to see more of?
Well, I'll jump in right away because I always love seeing examples of modules that I haven't seen before, and ways that they solve a common problem. I think that's a common struggle with the vast sea of modules on the CPAN is that, well, how do you know which one to use? And so when you see real world examples of, hey, at work I use this module to solve this problem, that's really valuable to see what people are, there's a lot of other people going through a lot of research to compare modules. So seeing what they end up with is always really exciting to find out.
Okay.
I have something too that I would like to see. I noticed that you have a little bit of content on Perl 6, and I would love to see more.
Okay.
Don't you guys think? Oh, everyone here agrees. What do you guys think? Anything that you can think of? Beginner articles would be good for, yeah. Like maybe
I don't know if that's the focus.
maybe how to open a file one way. the probably the wrong way. I don't know.
You know, Brian Foy has a funny saying. He says that in Perl we're all about Tim Toady, right? There's more than one way to do it. But he said deep down we all really want to know what's the one best way. It's kind of true. Okay, so beginner articles, Perl 6. That's what I'm taking away from this. Oh, and new modules as well. Okay. All right, so in terms of where Perl Tricks is going to go this year, first thing I want to do is like keep what's working. So we're going to aim for more frequent articles, more writers, keep doing things that work, like you know, what's new on CPAN, that's really popular. But we're going to tweak things a little bit too. So I want to do a better job of promoting people's CPAN contributions. So every month when we do what's new on CPAN, we're going to have a module of the month, which is going to be broken out in a separate box with a bit more detail about that module. And I'd love to make what's new on CPAN even more helpful if I can. So just hit me up and let me know what's working and how things can change.
Yes, specifically about the what's new on CPAN. Is that something you curate yourself, or do you get help with that?
Yeah, I do it myself.
Nice, nice. That's really, again, I love seeing those kinds of things because it helps save my time from trying to hunt down what's new. So I really, really appreciate that kind of work. That's not easy to do, all that kind of, you know, separating what's new and what's just updated. So yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, it's funny. That was one thing that I was looking at regular features that we could run, and that seemed like a helpful one. I've got to say, like, even though there's a lot of volume on CPAN, I've honed the process of picking what's good and what's not down to a fine art. So I have like a Perl script that pulls back, you know, every new upload, and it makes a distinction between genuinely new modules and new versions of modules. So right there and then I can cut down the list quite a lot.
Nice.
And then I go through the list of candidate uploads, and I have a few useful columns. Like I have a straight hyperlink to Meta CPAN, right? I have an author column. So if the author is like unknown, then that's generally a good sign that it's probably not a module that's worth looking at. If the Meta CPAN link returns a 404, then the module's already been deleted, so you can ignore it. And then I also have the test results as well. So some modules, if they have like either 0 tests or every single test failing, I probably won't look at it that closely either. So it does still takes a long time, but yeah, there's those kind of heuristics you can use to kind of quickly whittle down the list to, you know, what's good. One of the pieces of feedback I get with what's new on CPAN is, oh, you didn't mention this Distiller plugin for this month, or something like that. You know, the 4th Distiller plugin that will insert your version and not change the lines of your pod or whatever. And it's like, it's a curated list. It's supposed to be limited. Like, we can't add more stuff. Like, that's not good feedback. Like, I can change it in other ways, but it's not going to become everything that's new on CPAN, because that's just not good for anyone.
Right.
Anyway, okay, so I mentioned about doing more of the same stuff. We've got some incremental tech improvements planned. So I've got a Perl Tricks pseudopod module in the works. So at the moment in the back end, everything's written in HTML on this very basic editor. And in the future, everything's going to be written in pod, and that's going to be on cpan. So if people want to contribute articles, it should make it easier for people to get up and running with our style guide and so on. Also, the back end is, I'm going to talk about the tech in a bit, but the back end is really a huge DivX class model. And that too is something that's gone through a lot of iterations and is pretty finely tuned. And I also have a really good test suite for it as well. So one of my goals for this year is to release that to cpan as well. So if people want to start their own article site or their own blogging site, that would be a useful base to start from, I think. I guess the other thing is, when I started Perltrix, I somewhat greedily thought I could make money from it. And once I kind of stopped trying to make money from the site and just kind of be good to the Perl community, things went really well. That said, something won't be sustainable unless it makes money in some form. So I want to try and start monetizing Perltrix in a way that works for everyone. So I'm not going to bring back Google Ads or any kind of paid ad network stuff, but maybe
maybe T-shirts. Probably T-shirts, right?
Laptop stickers.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, some kind of store, maybe like static ads for Perl jobs, but it'd have to be something relevant to the audience. So yeah, I'm going to incorporate as well, so I get some limited liability protection and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a whole journey that we're going to go on to.
Nice.
And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess the kind of long-term goal for Perltrix is to be a media platform for the Perl community, right? So that could be articles, it could be selling ebooks, it could be hosting podcasts, and if we're selling ebooks, we could help publish them as well. So we've got a pretty large audience of people that are interested in Perl. It makes sense to me that we've got a lot of technical people who might be interested in publishing a book about Perl, but perhaps the main publishers aren't going to be interested in a book that's only going to sell a few thousand copies. So if Perltrix can be the middleman there and help Perl programmers get published and earn money, that would be a great place to be too. So they're kind of lofty ambitions, but that's what I'm thinking about.
One quick question. So the site is called Perltrix.com. Do you ever find the urge to break away from just talking about tips and tricks? Like there's obviously a lot more types of content, just like interviews or I don't know, discussions about talking about like YAPC coming up, all sorts of different articles that could be posted. Do you intend to always keep it focused on like helpful tips and tricks?
Well, I mean, I guess the name is slightly deceptive. So originally it was going to be a tips and tricks site, but once we moved into the longer form stuff, we have been doing a few interviews. I think we've done 3 or 4. Not enough, that's for sure. I'd love to do more. That's one thing. Yeah, I mentioned about being better at promoting Perl, the Perl community. So certainly, if new Perl books come out or something like that, we do an extended review of the book. We did that with the 2nd edition of Mastering Perl. I think that was the last major new Perl book release. But I'm always interested in other types of formats or articles that people would like to read about. I think this week we released an article on new screen. So that has nothing to do with Perl really, but it's just a helpful tool that a lot of Perl programmers can use, that or Tmux. So yeah, very interested in like branching out and kind of trying new things. So yeah, I'd be very interested in suggestions. And you know, if you're a Perl programmer and you want to be interviewed, send me an email and we can set something up. I was going to talk about the tech stack next. Dave, have we got any questions? Or am I good to go?
We have one question.
Yeah, so you were talking about finding a way to monetize for the site. Have you ever just considered just putting like a donate button on the site to just let people donate to you, the site?
I haven't actually. Would you donate?
But I mean, I do know that they are a lot of times, you know, effective than doing nothing, right? Like, I mean, I don't really think there's a reason not to have a donate thing on there, right? Like, you know, if people want to give the site money, then they can give the site money, but if they don't want to, it doesn't really hurt anything, does it? I would donate to you and put it on there.
Yeah, I guess. Hey, Gabe.
He will donate. Sorry.
Once a week.
He will donate. I'm pretty sure at least once a week, maybe more.
I'll be your first donator if you want.
First donation coming from him.
$50 minimum.
I mean, you're just
okay.
So that's just one possible thing that you could do without, you know, having to really, I guess, worry too much about where it's coming from. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't work. Yeah.
Gabe, do you want to go on mute?
What's that?
Can you go on mute?
Oh.
Thanks. Sorry, I can hear myself, so it's kind of hard to respond. But no, thanks for the donation suggestion. That's a great idea. One of the other things with goals for the site is how much time does it take to develop? Can you imagine developing an e-store and like all of the risks and pitfalls that comes with that, whether you have stockouts and all the other stuff? It's a big investment, whereas a donate button, I can literally just put it up there and it's pretty passive. And as you said, if people want to donate, they can, and if not, they don't have to. So thanks for the suggestion.
He gave a thumbs up. So.
Any other questions?
What does the login button do on the web page?
Did you get that, David?
No.
Someone's asking, what does the login button do on the page?
Well, all of the articles on the site are managed by a secure management interface. So the login button is for authors and for me to write articles and publish them and edit them. Gabe, you're on mute.
There we go. It's kind of difficult. Yeah, I guess a few people were thinking that there was additional content for normal users or something, that we had accounts. But is this for administrator? Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that. That's a good point. I guess it could come across as like members content or something like that. So maybe I need to make it more explicit on the login page that it's just for administration and nothing else. So people know they're not missing out on more great content.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that was my first thing. I was like, log in. Oh, let me like make an account. Maybe I'm missing something. Also, is there a search feature on the website? I noticed the articles had tags on them, but I didn't see a specific search feature. Maybe that takes too much time to implement. But
yeah, another great question. So in the backend model, we do keep tags on the content, so we could create a search engine, but I just never got around to it. And everyone that brings it up, I just say to them, oh yeah, just go to Google and type site:/pearltricks.com and then put in your search. But I know that's cheating and that's not a real answer. So yeah, it is something we need to do.
Looks like we're out of questions so far. Do you have more stuff, dude?
Oh yeah, I could go for hours. All right, so just talking about the stack for a second. So the whole thing is a Catalyst app, and I mentioned we use DivX class as well. So I've tried to follow best practices. The Catalyst app is very lightweight. The controllers don't have much code in them at all. They largely just defer to DivX class result sets or results. And that's why I think publishing the DivX class model will be so useful. Also, it makes it easy for me to take out Catalyst and replace it with another web framework if I want to use a different one. Catalyst works fine for me right now, so I have no plans to do that. But it's good to know that you've got that option, particularly if like performance becomes an issue in the future. For the database itself, I use SQLite, and what's good about that and the model in general is that I cache almost everything. So I think the database only gets hit maybe once or twice an hour, because the articles are static and pretty much everything on the site is static, it lets me get away with some like ridiculously generous caching policy. The web server is Nginx, so I use the fast CGI cache in Nginx, and there's a Perl module that helps you manage the cache, so you can just clear it on demand if you want to, and that's what I use. So generally, when an article gets edited and published, that will clear the cache. Apart from that, we're caching everything all the time. So I can pretty much get away with a very limited and low-powered web server and platform.
Nice. That must be nice not having to worry about like permissions and things between articles or user authentication. That'd be it's always nice not to have to worry about that. Yeah,
in terms of security, there's this book I wanted to recommend actually. If anyone's interested in web security, it helped me a lot. It's called Web Application Hacker's Handbook, and it's by Stuttard and Pinto. I don't think it has any Perl code in the book, so there's no code to copy from or anything like that. But it goes through maybe 20 different attack vectors for web applications, everything from cross-site scripting to SQL injection to you name it. So I read that book about a year and a half ago, and as I was reading it, I was realizing all of the vulnerabilities in pearltricks.com, and so one by one I've kind of shut them down.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but it's an interesting book anyway, and it's like good to know those concepts if you're interested in web development. So yeah, highly recommended book. It helped me a lot. I guess that's pretty much it on the stack that I wanted to talk about. I can would anybody be interested in seeing the back end, like what happens behind the login screen?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Prepare to be wowed. Sorry, prepare to be disappointed. All right. So let me just log into this. Okay, so this is the hugely impressive administration control center. I don't know if that's an appropriate title or not, but basically it's really, really simple. This is just a list of articles, and I can, you can see actually I've got an article here that's, it has a status of 0. That means it's not yet published. So on, I guess on Monday, we'll be publishing a new article called How to Build a Twitter Bot with Perl. And because this isn't published, I can view it, and I get this like watermark to tell me that the article isn't published yet, but it looks just like it would look as if it's live. So
are you sharing your screen right now, David?
You know what?
I'm trying to figure out how to share. Sorry. I don't know how to share.
I think David has to initiate it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my fault. Sorry, guys.
Okay. How do I get rid of this up here?
Can you guys tell me if anything comes up?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, we can see now on our side.
Okay, cool. All right, Gabe, you're on mute. Yep. Okay. Excellent. So this is the hugely impressive Perltrix management console. Basically, for articles, it's just a list of every article we've published, and you get obviously the ID, the title, the date of publication, or the create date, and there's this status column as well. So 2 means that it's in our carousel. And this is basically an iterator. So if I was to click this number 2 right here, that would take the article back to status 0, which is offline. And if I click it again, it would be online. And I click it again, it would be on the carousel again. Controlling these statuses of articles is what refreshes the cache. So right at the top here, I've got an article with a status of 0. And that's a new article that's going to go out on Monday, so how to build a Twitter bot with Perl. And I can view that article, and I get this kind of watermark here to tell me that the article isn't yet ready. But it's styled, and it looks just like it would live on the site, so I can inspect it, and I can see, does it look good, how does it read, and so on. The other thing I can do is obviously I can edit the article, and I have a terribly basic editor interface. So basically, all of the articles are written in HTML, and then I have these shortcut hyperlinks at the top to just paste stuff in, common tags that I use, and these shortcuts are JavaScript functions. So like if I highlight some text and then I click one of these, it'll enclose the text in the tags, but that's about it really. It's not that impressive. I put all of my time into worrying about what the users of the site can see rather than what the authors can see, because who cares about them, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a long list of articles. And in terms of the user's interface, it's pretty simple. So, you know, you can set your user picture, you can email, display name, password, and it's a role-based model, right? So I've got myself as an editor, and so far there's 4 other authors. So that model basically works by authors can edit their own articles, but they can't edit anyone else's. They can write new articles, but they can't publish them. And an editor is basically an administrator who can do anything. So I haven't had any security issues, but that tends to work pretty well. That's pretty much it for the back end. Before I log out of here, is there any questions?
Wow. I have a question, David.
Gabriel, I think you should stop sharing your screen.
Who, me? What?
Yeah.
This one or that one?
Better?
Yeah, Gabriel, you're still sharing your screen.
Stop. Just,
You want me to stop?
yeah.
That works?
Okay.
Better.
Yeah, I had a question though, David.
Sure.
Do you have did you ever intend to open source your backend code so that other people could contribute to that? I mean, I know the articles make sense, and I'm not so sure that even it would the backend, but I mean, have you ever wondered or considered it?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely to open source the backend in terms of the DivX class logic. That's pretty much the value of the site right there. You know, all of the relationships and classes have been built up, and helper methods, and I mean, the Catalyst app itself is very, very lightweight. I guess I definitely, I mean, I mentioned already, I want to put that online this year. I'll put it on CPAN, I think. And it would be great to get some contributions to that and some suggestions, but also it would be great if someone took that and set up their own site as well. I think sometimes when it comes to projects, we try and like do too much. So, you know, let's build a CMS. Well, that's like a huge undertaking, right? WordPress and I guess to some extent Medium as well kind of have a lock at the moment on blogging engines. People talk about Ghost, but you know, Ghost has its own flaws. I'm not sure if you can have more than one user on a Ghost blog. You couldn't when I last looked. I know there's that Perlby blogging engine as well, but I'm not sure where that's going. So yeah, I think people try and like take on too much. Like a really solid model that can be extended and used for different things, maybe a blogging site or a media site. That's a big part of it. So yeah, if I can put that online, that would be great. The front end stuff though, like the templates and the exact look and feel of the site, I probably wouldn't feel so comfortable putting that online, just because I wouldn't want to see like Perl-tricks show up and it looks exactly the same as my site, you know. But I mean, that would be the only reason I wouldn't do that, I think.
Sounds good. I'm just gonna jump in real quick and say I think I'm losing some connection here. It's getting a little choppy for me, so I'm gonna sign off. But I just had to say thanks so much to Dave. Really appreciate taking the time to talk. I'll look up the rest of the talk online after to a host of some kind. But thanks for taking the time, and thanks to Gabriel as well for setting this up. So we'll talk to you again soon, and hope the others enjoy the rest of the talk.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, see you later.
Hey, come off mute, man.
Okay. Yeah. So it looks like we got disconnected from the network or something, but we're back. So you can continue if you want, David.
Yeah, sure. So I think that was pretty much all I wanted to cover in terms of a look behind the scenes. I don't know if anyone had any questions at this stage. I got a few other things to talk about, but nothing pressing.
No more questions so far.
I think the sound's pretty good. You might not need to come off mute. Can we try live?
This is me unmuted.
That sounds good.
Really?
Yeah. Really.
All right, let's try it.
So what else do I have here? Does anyone would anyone be interested in like what I think about technical writing?
Yes, but can I ask a question first? Can you hear me? I don't.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, do you ever have like guest writers on the site, or is it just, or are the authors just like the author list that you have on the website?
I'm sorry, did you ask that question again?
Yeah, you had that list of authors that you can access like from the website. Or I haven't looked at like all the articles. Do you ever have like guest article writers, or do you just stick to like the authors that are on there currently?
Yeah, I'd love to have. Oh, hey, sorry. Could you go on mute again? Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'd love to have other authors write for the site. I think for a long time I had a open invitation up on the site, like, if you want to write for us, get in touch. If you've got an idea or something you want to promote, let me know. And very, very few people came through that channel. What I had found works is reaching out to people who, who want to write about Perl. So a good example of that is Tim Murray. He's a real hardware specialist, and he blogs fairly regularly. And I reached out to him and got him interested in publishing for Perltrix, and now he writes through the site. And I know he's got like 4 or 5 articles in the pipeline as well. So that's going great. In terms of guest articles, I'd love to have more people write for the site, even if it's just one article. So this week or last week perhaps, we published an article it was about Geek Uni, which is this online learning platform set up by Andrew Solomon. And I think basically the whole purpose of that article was to tell people about Geek Uni and let them know about Andrew's journey and so on and so on. Don't expect Andrew will write another article for the site for a long time until he has something else to say about Geek Uni. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of an example of a guest writer. If you've got something you want to write about, just let me know.
All right. Thanks, David. No more questions, I think. Tech writing? There's a question about your thoughts on typewriting.
Typewriting?
Tech writing. Technical writing. Just in general, I guess. Or
what you were going to talk about before.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So I think this is I still think is a real opportunity, right? So the first thing I would say is you really need to know your audience. So just like in any other form of writing, who are you writing for? Are you writing for like advanced programmers, new Perl programmers? And you've really got to keep that in mind throughout the thread of your article. What I try and do is write fairly accessible articles that if someone knows a little bit of Perl, or even if they just know programming, I think they could probably follow the gist of the article. But if you are an intermediate Perl user, there might be one or two things there that you learn from the article, because I tend to go fairly deep on, here's what you can do with this, and here's what you can do with that, and so on. I can't imagine like advanced Perl programmers would get a huge amount out of the like technical style of my writing. But I think if you're writing about something new or something they haven't heard of before, then like a new module, for instance, the interesting to them is not really how do I write the code to use this module. It's more about what can this module do for me. So I try and keep those things in mind when I'm writing my articles. Test your code before you publish your article. Like, man, it is so embarrassing to have broken code up on the site. It's like very embarrassing, and like people will email you and let you know exactly where your code is wrong. So definitely test your code. I try and write in whole pieces. So if you're going to write a program, try and write it in the simplest way possible, which might mean not showing like use strict and use warnings and a couple of other options, or like when you're writing an article, like I wrote that article about Reddit bots, and there were so many little shortcuts that I wanted to use in the code, like, oh, here's a really cool way to do this, and here's a really cool way to do that. But I knew if I did that, it would make it harder for newbies to understand what was going on in the code. So I try to keep it clear and simple. And then, yeah, try to write whole programs. So this isn't always possible, but if you can, write everything start to finish in one code block. In one, I mean like a code block in the website, so it shows up as a continuous piece of code. If you can't do that, if the program's getting really unwieldy, then write it at like the subroutine level or the block level. It's kind of a rule of thumb than an absolute rule, but I think that makes the code more readable. I think the other thing is, coming back to the know your audience thing, part of the job of being a tech writer, I think, is also to kind of just talk about the tech. So one thing that I think separates professional media from blogs is that bloggers have this kind of freedom to write about whatever they want to write about. So some blogs you might be reading about, oh, here's how to do something in Perl, and then halfway down you get their opinion on Palestine or whatever it is, like I've seen, I follow a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of technical people, and I've seen them get in like pretty embarrassing, large, like mudslinging matches with people over Twitter. And I really try and avoid that kind of engagement, because I think it's fine to have an opinion and political views and whatnot and so on, but no one's coming to Perltrix to hear about my political views. And so I try and honor that and not get into opinion pieces about anything that's not related to tech. And I generally try and keep it positive too. Like, I'm a pretty positive person, and I think positively about Perl, so I tend to write positively about Perl. That said, writing that expresses an opinion is a lot more interesting than writing that expresses no opinion. So, there was that famous talk that Sawyer gave, and it was CGI must die, right? He didn't get up there and said, well, CGI is pretty good in some areas and has some drawbacks in other areas. Like, that's not very interesting. Like, so there's definitely an appeal to having an opinion. I think if you can express an opinion about something but staying on topic and being reasonable, then that can make for some really compelling writing as well. I guess the other thing I'd say is that, like, just writing about something, the because it's Perl and because of Tim Toady, you know that what you're writing about, there's probably multiple ways to get it done. So definitely research the topic a little bit, look it up on Perl Doc. I always Google to see what someone else has written about a particular module or a subject that I'm planning to write about. And that's a really good way of building your Perl skills, if nothing else, and getting underneath a subject. So you may not put all of that in the article, but you've got a deeper understanding, and getting to that level will also help you write clearer articles as well. So yeah, definitely research your topic and take your time. There's everyone's like desperate to publish, but I think if you can put something out that's quality and is useful, content is king, and it's going to be on the internet forever. So, make a valuable contribution. That's what I'd say. Is that helpful?
Yes.
Sounds good.
So I think that was pretty much everything I had on my list. Gabe, is there anything you've got on your side? Any questions or anything else?
I had another quick question. Maybe just do you have like any favorite topic? I mean, other than just saying Perl, but I mean for projects. But do you have anything that is like, oh, I really love writing about this, but maybe you don't do it all the time. But is there something above everything else that you kind of just like doing personally?
I guess not really. I mean, programming in general is an unhealthy obsession of mine. I live and breathe it, and I think it's probably a slightly unhealthy obsession, but like that's my main thing. I mean, I'm not that much into sports. I like reading and kind of into politics, but more British politics, and no one really cares about that. So apart from British people, and they don't want to hear what I got to say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, one thing on Perltrix is we have tried to branch out and to write about like more open source type projects. Even though I'm a Perl guy, like I'm really interested in open source in general and what's going on and technology in general. So Perltrix is pretty specialist, but yeah, my interests are broader than that. Oh yeah, I guess I read quite a bit of science fiction. Has anyone read the Daniel Suarez books, Demon and Freedom?
On politics, I went to Essex, so I do know a little bit about it. I went to Essex. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me?
What are the?
I can just about hear you.
I said I went to the University of Essex, so I know a little bit about your system.
Oh. Commiserations.
I guess to follow up about what you're kind of leading to before a little bit. I do like how you a lot of your articles you do seem to branch out like with Perl to other things, like including like I think like on your front page right now I think I saw something with having to do with screen and something that I personally have to use at work a lot. Even though we're trying to migrate away from it, but it's like there's a lot of things that I think even historically Perl has been that language where it kind of it's just one of those things that you use to do a lot of other things, and some of those other things aren't Perl. So I think I really like that about your site. Is that I guess that's probably like kind of what you're saying is like something that you do intend to do and do more and.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean. I've got such a long list of things I want to write about. I probably have, maybe I get a bit pigeonholed sometimes. I can think of a few things like past clients where I've worked, for instance, where they're a Windows shop, they don't do anything with Perl, but they need to load this data into a database, and it's like, gigabytes of data or something, right? And they're like, oh, that's no problem, SQL Server handles this, that, and the other. And then the client gives them the data, and it's all in PDF. And then they don't know what to do. And so, there's definitely those opportunities where even if Perl is just executing a C library that's doing the work underneath, like Perl's acting as a glue to do that data transformation and to let them kind of continue with their work. That seems like a really interesting area that I could definitely write more about. Everything from changing the encoding of a file to data transformation, data monging in general. I probably haven't written enough about that, so I'll put it on my to-do list.
No more questions? No more questions so far.
Okay.
All right. Questions still? Yes, lots of questions. All right.
You like union or league rugby?
Oh wait, I have a question.
You like union or league rugby?
What's the question?
There's a question. Do you like
union or league rugby? Which do you like? And there's any sports.
Rugby teams? Union or league?
Oh yeah. Union. And the team is Bath, because that's where I was born. And a lot of Americans, they say to me, Bath, what's that? And I'm like, can you spell it? I go, B-A-T-H. And they go, oh, Bath. So, yeah, apologies for my strange accent. But yeah, Rugby Union, Bath, that's my team.
So you talked a little bit about restructure. When you restructured Perltrix, you do slightly longer articles and whatnot. What's sort of the goal for maybe 2015, 2016? Like, where do you see the site going in the future? Where do you want it to go in the future?
Yeah, great question. Definitely more of the same. Like our almost month on month, we're getting more and more users, people visiting the site. So what we're doing is working. I want to publish more frequently. So 2 articles a week is okay. 3 would be great. So that will involve recruiting more writers and probably doing more writing myself as well. I mentioned about incorporating as well, so I can run some kind of online store. I'd love to become like a low-cost publisher for Perl programmers. So, publishing like 50 to 100-page technical books on the site. I've got a couple that I'd love to do. Actually, one on Perl 6 one-liners that is on my GitHub page. I'd love to kind of just turn that into a real book and, talk through every one-liner and make it more of a tutorial. So yeah, definitely more articles and the store, and maybe some kind of static ads for Perl jobs, and hey, maybe a donate button as well. People keep telling me I should do a podcast, but I know that the Perlcast was really popular, and that was really great, but I don't know, I think a podcast is a lot of work, and until I can get some kind of income or revenue from the site, it would be difficult for me to justify putting that much effort in, knowing that at the moment I wouldn't get anything out of it, apart from, obviously the intrinsic pleasure of doing something nice for the community. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
I think we
Yeah,
got
give you a thumbs up. Sorry.
Cool.
Any more questions, guys? All right. No more questions on our end.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, David?
Yeah, just a quick closing piece, I guess. So thanks very much for coming and listening to me. I really appreciate having the audience. I'm an organizer for the New York Pearl Mongers. So if you're ever in Manhattan, drop us a line. We've got a meetup page. Leave a message there, something like that. It'd be good to do like a social, or maybe come along to one of our meetups. You're more than welcome to come. So yeah, it'd be great to see some people from Milwaukee and New York. So yeah, open invite.
Well, thank you, David. I think maybe, who knows, someday maybe one of us would take you up on that. I would love to visit New York.
If I get a traveling job.
Yeah. And we would like to extend the invitation the other way. Let your manga group know that we have room in Milwaukee if anyone wants to come and visit. We'll reserve a time for a talk if you want to give a talk. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, I'll let them know.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
All right, guys, have a good night.
All right, you too, David. Bye.
Bye.
How do I stop?